Joanna, do the exercise and I will explain to you why and how. Joanna, please sit down, bend your right leg and place it next to you on the shin. You must go into this position, but you probably won't manage it as well as Joanna does. You probably have to bend to the left because the distance between buttocks and heel is still too large because this muscle is much too tense and much too short here. And that is the first reason. The reason you have pain in your knee is a short thigh muscle. And if it is too short, it practically pulls the lower leg up. And that's how this whole story begins. I will explain the rest to you later during the other exercises. So now it's about flexing this muscle, and afterwards you can assess whether there have been any changes in your pain. What is important about the exercise? It is important that you have your foot as long as possible here, but also if that is not possible. Because the muscles down there are too short, you have a small angle. That's why you gradually practice more and more so that you get further into this position. With each repetition, the tissue will give way and you will get better at it. And then you try to get as close as possible with your buttocks to your heel. And if you still have a big gap because everything is too short, maybe go a little further out, then you move the leg towards the ground and practically stay in that position. We might even show it in this position because the probability is very high that you won't get into the stretch any further anyway. That is now fixed. The next thing that happens, you let your torso swing further back, but take your pelvis with you. To do this, you pull in your navel and bend your arms as well so that you keep going further down. You won't be able to reach that far again, right? I'll show you now what you should keep training further because in this position you have a lot of stretching tension here, and what is probably the reason for your back pain is slowly being relieved. I'll show you another possibility to stretch out this area nicely in front. Please bend your right knee. Yes. And now reach back with your hand and pull your foot towards your buttocks. Everyone should actually be able to do this, but I am very sure you cannot. So, how can we design this exercise so that you can still practice it? You do the following. You take a towel or a belt and basically pull the loop forward with your right hand. And therefore, but preferably like this, exactly, that's easier, and as a result, your heel gets closer and closer to your buttocks. You can extend your arms, so to speak, to get the exercise right. But important, before you start to pull, yes, move your arms to this position, exactly before you start to pull, so maybe at that angle. When everything is quite relaxed, make sure that the pubis is pressed as firmly as possible against the ground. So, you must not be in a hip flexion, the groin must be all the way down. And only then, when that is ensured, you move your hand further forward and pull the foot towards the buttocks. And then you will immediately notice that it stretches here, that it stretches in the groin, maybe even pulling in the back. And what should you do now? You should go into the stretch. You go in so far that you feel the pain. You can still tolerate the stretching pain well, so it must be just a comfortable pain. And then you stay in there for 2 minutes, and during those 2 minutes, the stretching, the intensity will decrease. And as it relaxes, you pull your foot further and further, thereby stretching this whole area here in the front. Which is probably responsible for your pain. Stretch it out nicely. The second exercise focuses on the back of the leg. More precisely, around the psoas muscle, because if it is too short, which can also happen because of sitting too long. Then it pulls the thigh down onto the lower leg, and then there is the overload in the knee and the knee pain. Just reach for your foot and pretend like you can't move it forward, as it will probably be for you. You might not be able to go further forward, but you need to be able to hold on to the foot for this exercise, so you take a belt or a towel, wrap it around the upper part of the foot. That way you can lever the ankle, grab the loop, and now pull the foot as far back as possible. So before you do anything else, pull your foot as far back as possible, pull it really tight. Once you've done that, maybe for about 10-15 seconds, really bringing the foot backward, by the way, it must be perpendicular, then you arch your lower back and increasingly bring your torso forward in the arch. And then you will notice that it really starts to hurt in the back of your knee. And these are the shortened muscles that have to be stretched, and that's why it's good that it hurts. Limit the intensity in a way that you can still bear well, and then it is just right, again 2 to 2.5 minutes. That means the foot must be kept pulled back as far as possible the whole time, and the torso moves forward millimeter by millimeter. Now it's completely relaxed at the back. You'll love it when you stand up and walk afterwards. For the back of your leg, we will now show you a wonderful alternative. If you don't have a knee rest, no problem. Just take 2 or 3 books of the appropriate height to fulfill the same function. Please step on it with your foot, Joanna, and now move your pelvis forward until you feel a maximum tension in your calf, in the upper calf, just below the knee joint. Go as far forward as possible. And when the tension is established in the upper calf, and this is important to understand, then you arch your lower back and bend forward at the hip increasingly. Exactly, bend your arms, but you must not go back now, you have gone back a little. Go forward again, because you need to understand the following. When you bend forward, normally, without thinking, the buttocks go backwards, then the stretching down here decreases. That means you have to keep the pelvis forward and not change the position when bending down. Yes, keep the lower back arched. That's not easy. You have to control it because you automatically want to tilt the pelvis more backward with the buttocks, but that shouldn't happen. And it goes all the way down until eventually it starts to pull across the back of the knee, and then you have the entire back of the leg engaged. Yes, go a little deeper if possible. Yes, nicely with the hip forward, okay? Also increase to 2 to 2.5 minutes, and this is because the foot is pre-stretched by the knee savior or by the books. A very, very intense and very efficient stretching that you will also feel immediately. And up here you can subscribe to our channel. Down there you will find more videos. Click here, then you'll get more videos, make use of them, and Joanna and I say goodbye.
Goodbye.